Hey folks, welcome to week three of Hacktoberfest with Aviyel. So we have had great entries coming in, and Hacktoberfest has been going great. How have you been, Manas?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you, Jacob?
I'm good. I'm good. So we have with us Manas Solanki. He's a senior software engineer with ChaosGenius, which is an open source business observability platform. So I'll hand over the stage to Manas right now.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Jacob. So let me give you a quick introduction about myself first. So currently, I'm working as a founding engineer at the ChaosGenius. And so before ChaosGenius, I have kind of experience of working in the open source community here. So I was part of various open source organization and part of one of the organization having the largest number of GitHub stars from the India. So I was kind of quite active in open source community, and here in ChaosGenius, we again are working on building an open source product. So this is about myself. Now let me just quickly share my screen and just start on the presentation. Okay, cool. So basically, let me give an introduction about the ChaosGenius as well. So we are an open source business observability platform, and what that means is, so basically for every business, they have different KPIs inside their organization, which they measure and track. So for example, if you are an e-commerce company, so you might be tracking what is the total sales, what is the total daily sales happening on your website, and similarly, like there are different kind of metric. If you're from the engineering background, so you might be tracking different system metric. So similarly, there are lots of metrics in every organization, and we are building a platform which can be used to basically track those metrics. Then you can also have outlier detection. So if there is anomaly in those KPIs, so you will be able to get those, you will be able to get alerted. And then the second thing is the root cause analysis. So again, if your KPI is if any metric you are tracking, if there is some change in that particular KPI. So let's say if you're tracking the sales, and if there is a spike in the sales, so what is causing that spike in that particular metric? So that is basically we are providing an automated root cause analysis for the metric which you will be tracking. So now here, this is a very simple problem, but the challenge comes in the data size and the complexity. So let me give you a very quick overview here on the basically how the data size is increasing. 175 gigabytes of data by 2025, and the surprising fact is over more 80% of that data is created in last 2 years itself. Now this is about the rapidly increasing size, but if I'm talking about the complexity of this data, so for every particular organization, so there is so much variety of data itself. So you will be, let's say if you're an e-commerce business, so you will be tracking user behavior, how and then you will be tracking different business metrics. So for example, you will be tracking what is the age of a particular user, how exactly they are interacting with your website. Then you will be then there are going to be the data itself. So you also want to track your data. So is your data pipeline is working fine? If everything is working correctly on the data side, if you have some, let's say some data jobs, so are these happening properly? And then this is more on the business side. Now if you're talking about the engineering side, then there are going to be the system metric, like is your server running smoothly, like all the metrics are proper. If some server is overloaded, and if so then you need to get alerted for those metrics. So this is kind of different variety of data which every organization is collecting right now. And so now the complexity lies in the dimensionality. So if you will, for example, if I'm collecting a user data, so there are so many dimensions. So what is the age of that user, from where that user is using a particular product, and what is the device which is using. So there are so many, so the complexity is because of there are so many dimensions, and the dimensions have, those are, let's say if the dimension is having high cardinality, so then it become the problem very challenging. And because of basically so rich data, it is even harder to monitor things and understand what exactly is causing that particular change in the metric or in the KPI which you are tracking, right? So to basically give you some understanding about the this complexity of the problem, let me ask you a very simple question here. So so for example, let's say you are having sales and there are 50 product categories and there are 50 states now, and there are 8 device and operating system combinations. So what is going to be the number of subpopulations here? So anyone? Okay, so basically, let me very quickly give you an example, give you the answer here. So then there are going to be 20,000 different subpopulations. So, and this is just for the one metric, which is when you are trying to track the sales. So, and we have taken very generous numbers. So this is not the case in most of the e-commerce companies. The product categories are in thousands. So state might be the same, but device and OS combination are again going to be the different. So now let's say you have to track so many different population, and here is basically the curse of dimensionality comes. So basically, when you have such a huge number of dimensions, so then it becomes very hard to monitor those using the standard BI tools like your Tableau or Metabase, or even manually. And then when you are tracking a particular metric, so it getting alerted on all the dimensions is basically again very challenging, because it needs proper understanding of the trends. So trends is, for example, I think last year, or we have seen during the COVID time that everyone is doing work from home. So the electronic sale is going so increase. So because of that, so are we able to basically track those kind of trends? Second is the seasonality. Seasonality is, let's say if someone is from the north, so the winter season is coming. So in the winter season, sales of the woolen category will increase. So whether you will be able to get alerted on that particular sub-dimension where the category is equal to woolen wear. So just tracking and alerting, tracking all these kind of subpopulation is challenging in itself, and then getting alert. So, and the next problem is once you will be able to get alert, so what exactly is the root cause of those changes in KPI? For example, if your sales dip a lot, so what is the root cause, or what is the exact reason which is causing that drop in the sales? So it is very difficult to get it done with the normal data analysis tool like Excel or SQL. And this is also kind of very crucial for any organization. Let's say if you're tracking a sales and your sales dip by, let's say, 20%. So it is very crucial for any organization to get alerted, whether it might be because there is some bug on your website, or there might be some faulty commit which pushed on your app. So there might be lots of reasons. So to get alerted and to get the root cause analysis of that particular change is very crucial. Now, this is the kind of problem which we are trying to solve at the ChaosGenius here. Now, to give you a kind of the landscape, or the overall landscape in where we are working on, is there are a couple of projects here which are trying to solve the exact similar problem, but those are closed source projects, and those are kind of heavily funded projects. So then, and even those projects have there is a friction in adoption, because those are the closed source projects, and those are kind of pretty expensive. So by doing the open sourcing, we are basically making it easier for anyone to try out basically our product, and will make it easier to analyze and basically to monitor their business metric. And this is also like there are also deep domain expertise. So there are lots of folks from, let's say, founder of Tensor is working on the same problem. There are AI lab at Stanford and the MP labs at UC Berkeley who's trying to solve the similar problem. So this is a very good space right now. This is kind of an augmented analytics where you will be using analysts to solve out the problem. So this is the kind of landscape here. So now, just to give you the next question is, what can basically ChaosGenius do, or what is something which ChaosGenius can help businesses basically monitor their KPIs. So let me show you. So basically, first thing is you can connect your database or your data warehouse to the CG. We have a wide range of data sources connectors, so you can connect to all the 3 data warehouses. We provided connector for Redshift, Google BigQuery, and Snowflake. So you can also connect with your standard database like Postgres, or you can connect with data lake like Databricks, or you can connect real-time data stores like Good. We also used to basically provide the native connectors for some of these marketing and ad platforms. But there is right now that's a feature which is not openly available on our open source product. So next is, once you connected your data source, so then you can define a metric or a KPI over there. So adding a KPI is, you need to basically select a data source, and after selecting a data source, you can select what is the table, or you can define a SQL query to define your KPI. After that, you also need to select the metric, what is the metric dimensions, or what is the aggregation which you want to aggregate for that particular KPI, then what are the dimensions which you want to track, and similarly some other metadata related to metric. There are some other tools in the market which can be used to basically define the metric. For example, dbt is there, but then if you will be using dbt, so you need to define your metric in a YAML format, which is not very user friendly and not very intuitive. So what we are trying to do here in the metric definition is that anyone from the business team, they will be able to define the metric using our UI. So that is on the metric definition. Once you define a metric, so then basically you don't need to do anything. Then CG will perform analytics on a regular interval, and if there is any anomaly detection, so then you will be able to get alerted for those anomalies. So on the dashboard, you will be able to see any jump in that KPI or any change in that KPI. For example, here this is an KPI of a cloud host, which is being tracked at an hourly basis. So let's say if there is a high users there, so then you will be get alerted on the same. Once you will click on any of the data points, so then you will be able to see what are the underlying subpopulation which is creating this anomaly or this jump in the cloud host. So this is one of the feature which you will be able to get on the dashboard. I will just show you a little more on during the demo, so that how this will be working. So the second feature is the root cause analysis along with the drill down. So for example, if you are tracking your total sales, and if current period sales is like 634K, and for the last month sales is 624K, so there is a difference of 10K sales. So you are getting that increase in the sales. So what are some drivers of that change? What is something which is increasing your sales? So that is what we tried to in this waterfall diagram. So you will be able to get what are the some subpopulations which is increasing that sales. It might be that a particular state is spending quite large because of some local festivals or something like that. Like it might be any reason. So, but because you will be able to get the root cause analysis of the change in that particular KPI. Now you will also get multidimensional drill down here. That what are different dimensions, and inside those dimensions, what is something which is basically contributing to that change. Uh, Now, once you will basically set up these analytics. So you can also set up smart alerting. So you can connect to you can connect to Slack, or you will be also able to get alerts on your email. So basically, you need to set up alerting on basis of on those KPIs, and then you will be able to get the alerts either on the Slack or email. And on basis of that, you can also get alerted on basically on our dashboard, which you can use in the product itself. Now, let me very quickly show you a quick demo how you can basically use. So, if you are able to see my screen, right? So here is so first is the data source itself. So you can connect to any given data source. You can connect to MySQL, BigQuery, or Postgres. So you need to provide some of the details for connecting the data source. Then once you will provide these details, you can test whether that's a valid connection or not. And then on basis of once you will test that, so you can add a new data source. So once you will add a data source, so then it will be added here. Then you can then we will basically sync your data source, and then after that sync you will be able to add the KPI on top of it. So adding a KPI is a very straightforward. You can name the KPI. For example, if we want to add for the cloud host, so we can just add the name of KPI. We can select the data source here. Then we can select the dataset type. So what is whether you want to directly connect, directly want to define a KPI on top of a table, or do you want to use query? So if your KPI is a combination of multiple tables, so you can use those queries to define your KPI. So let me give an example using the table itself. So once you will select a table, you can select the schema, then you can select the table here. So once you will select the table, then you can select the metric column. So metric is, for example, your cloud cost is metric. Then how exactly you want to aggregate that metric. So for example, if we will be doing a sum of the cloud cost, and then the datetime column. Datetime column is being used for because whatever analysis we are doing, that is mostly a time series analysis. So this is kind of mandatory to provide you the data. And you can select the different dimensions. Dimensions can be, for example, different AWS services or different AWS regions. So these might be the dimensions, and then you can select a dashboard where you want to see this KPIs. So after selecting all this, so you can just add this KPI into the dashboard, and then this particular metric will look like something this. So you will be able to get this is basically root cause analysis. So you will be able to see there is a kind of there is a decrease in the cloud cost, which is kind of good thing for any company. So they are able to decrease their cloud cost, and then you will be able to see what is something which is driving this decrease here. So you will be able to see that my cost is decreasing at US East region. So once you will click on this US East region, so then you will be able to see what are different services here. So you will be able to see that US East one and the services DynamoDB is where I am getting kind of reduction in the cost. So then you will be able to get exactly root cause of this reduction in the cost for this time duration, let's say for this month versus the last month. This is on the root cause analysis. Now the second is on the anomaly detection. So anomaly is basically, first thing is configuring the anomaly. So we have a different models. So you can try out these different models. You can set up the different parameters being used in those NL models, and then on basis of that, your anomaly detection will happen. So this is, for example, if we are monitoring cloud cost and there is a kind of a spike in the cost here. So we will click here. So you will be able to see the drill down. So drill downs is basically what are the underlying subpopulation or sub-dimension which are causing the spike. So then you will be able to see that this spike is being caused and where service is equal to PC2, and this is happening where region equal to AP South 1. And then this is also kind of happening at US East. So you will be able to get a kind of some idea that why a particular what are different subpopulation which is causing this spike in the cloud cost. So this is on the analytics and the monitoring side. Then you can also set an alert on basis of that. So you can create a new alert. You can set a KPI alert here. You can select any KPI. For example, you can select a cloud cost hourly here, and then you can set the severity score. So for example, whatever if you will see here in the cloud cost, so you will be able to see that for every particular data point. So you will be able to get, okay, let me select the same KPI here. So this is, you will be able to see the confidence interval and the value and the severity here. Severity, so basically, we will calculate the confidence interval of every data point, and then on basis of that we will define what is the severity of that particular anomaly, and then on basis of severity then you can set up your alerting using this severity. So what is the kind of limited value which you want to use for getting alerted. So you can use this the severity score for using that. You can set up the alert frequency, whether you want to get alerted on daily and hourly basis, and then you can set it up. Then you can configure this this specific alert either on your email or for the Slack, whichever you want to. So this is kind of a very quick demo for the ChaosGenius. Now just moving ahead on the presentation. So now what are the technical challenges which we are facing in this particular product? So one is running, we have to run hundreds of ML models or thousands of dimensions. So which is kind of a problem, a quite challenge in itself, like running so many models or so many different sub-dimensions. And the next problem is it should work on your laptop while you're trying out things, and then it should be also able to run a larger workload where the data is quite huge and you have clusters of server basically crunching the data and running the analysis for you. Now, and once you will be able to run the workload given, then it should also be it should be able to provide you effective results with the heterogeneous data. When I'm saying heterogeneous data, then I mean that those data might be from the different verticals. So the property of that data will vary on basis of what is the source of and which vertical is being basically the data is used in. For example, the marketing data have a different property than the IoT data. In IoT or census data, you will have a very huge data with very less frequency, versus if something is on the sales or finance side. So on the sales side, you might be kind of tracking things on a daily basis, but that might not be the case if you have high census data like IoT. So we should be able to provide the effective results with these different variety of data, and then it should be easy to use, easy to set up, and it should have low maintenance. So right now we provide Docker images. You can just pull and set up things on your local just to test it out. And Kubernetes is something which is in beta right now, which we are testing, and I think we will release in next coming months. The next problem is there are very domain-specific nuances to these particular problems. So, for example, if you are working on the marketing side, or if you're working on the cloud coast side, so there are very specific problems on the cloud coast which we want to kind of model this particular problem into. So now we are kind of working on very domain-specific or very use case-specific modules or application on top of the ChaosGenius. So one of the problem is which we have seen that which lots of our users is facing, and they are using ChaosGenius is for monitoring the cloud cost. And so we thought that we should give it a try to basically on the cloud cost monitoring side. So we have started with the data warehouse monitoring, and specifically started with the Snowflake observability. So what we have observed here is that most of Snowflake users overpay by 10 to 30%, And the Snowflake dashboards are not enough to deliver cost savings right now, because there is no workload optimization, there is no suggestions on how you can improve queries, there is no alerting on overusage. So these are some of the things which lacks in lots of data warehouse offerings right now. And then what we are planning is that how we can increase the Snowflake return. So then we are working on attributing queries, and then how insights on the query performance. So let's say if you're running a query, so what are so basically what are the different so we have a different metric for every query, like total running time of every query, what is the total number of partitions scanned. So how you can basically track those metric and provide some insights to users. So that is where we are working on right now. And then so basically it's more about insights on different metrics or different KPIs of your data warehouse, whether that is a number of queries being run on your warehouse, or whether it's a number of warehouse running, and or whether that's basically your cluster size. So we are trying to solve these kind of a specific use case here in the Snowflake observability platform, which we are building right now. So now the next thing is we are building an open source a product, and where basically this open source comes really handy is where we have basically different modules where there are lots of contributions from the community. So we have so there are data loaders for a data warehouse or databases or any third-party data. So I think it's very easy to add those new data sources. And even we have received some contributions from the community for some of these data loaders. Then the second thing is that we are working on making the backend configurable. So basically you can create your ML models, and then you can plug in your ML models into the ChaosGenius, and then you can fine tune your parameters for some of these algorithms which we have used here. So this is the second thing where this OSS comes to be very handy. Then on the community and adoption side, I think one of the advantages which we got while we have open source this product is we are able to iterate very fast, and we are able to get the user feedback very frequently because of having an open source project. And so we are getting lots of feedback from the community, and also the contribution in terms of that there are various type of community contributions. So we are getting contributions on the new feature request. We are getting basically someone is kind of creating issues. A few folks are contributing on the code side. They are basically helping out and adding new data sources here. So this is kind of while we are building in an open source, so this is very helpful for us because of the great open source community. And now, because there is a large user base with diverse use cases, so it is becoming kind of it is quite helpful for us that we will be able to solve some of very diverse use case using the product itself. So now talking about the ChaosGenius, so we are being used by the data teams in more than 25 countries right now, which is kind of a quite good metric, provided that we have open source in the last 6 months type period. And this is the kind of list of some of our core contributors. So thank you, everyone. I think it might not be possible without you all. I want to say thanks to all of the contributors of ChaosGenius. Now, just talking about this Hacktoberfest. So I think first thing is we are basically celebrating Hacktoberfest in collaboration with Aviyel. And what we are targeting right now is non-code contributions. But I mean, if someone is willing to contribute on the code side, we will be happy to kind of help. And use basically to help on the technical side as well. But on the node side, known code side, we are basically targeting for blog post right now, and some of the idea list is which we have shared in the in the repo which we have open sources. These are some of the idea lists that how not to write SQL queries for analyst, or using anomaly detection for Snowflake observability, or open source alternate for anomaly detection software, or automatic linting of SQL queries. So basically, if anyone is interested here, so they can submit their idea or their blog here. So this is one of the repo which we have created for the Hacktoberfest, and they can submit their article in form of the markdown file, or they can also kind of create a Google Doc here. This is one this is one doc which we have created, which includes some of the ideas which someone can take inspiration from. That they can choose these ideas to get basically to write their blog, technical blog post. So this is on the blog site, and okay, so now they can basically use they can submit their ideas or their blog using this repo itself. So I think then this is it from my side. Now, if you have any questions, so I will be kind of happy to have those questions. So, Jacob, I think you can take over the mic.
Thank you, Manas. Thank you for that. So we have a question from Anime. What's the story behind ChaosGenius? Sorry if this was answered in the beginning. I joined a little late. Can we have a small kind of recap on how ChaosGenius came into being?
Yeah, sure. Story behind yours. Okay, so okay, so basically, the reason is when we have started, I mean, there is lots of chaos on the data side. So because the data is so huge that it is very difficult to get some insights or get some meaning out of the data itself. So it is more kind of that there is a there is a chaos in the data itself, because there is so variety of data. The complexity of those data is quite large. There are so many dimensions. So then we thought that chaos is something which exists in the data, and then basically when we are providing insights, so then how we can provide insights. So then we thought that ChaosGenius is something that we can create some beautiful insights from the chaos in the data, and that's how the name comes in.
Got it. So one more question, Manas. Yeah. So ChaosGenius has been one of those projects you've been looking forward. So you guys got into Y Combinator.
Yeah.
And yes, and also you've been working with big companies like FamPay and so on.
Yeah.
Like even Fortune 500 companies have come into the scene that have been using your applications for the same.
Yeah.
So how was that collaborating with a very big company as an open source project?
I think so. I must say that it's quite helpful. So even the bigger, so right now there is a shift in the trend. Even the bigger company, they are kind of adopting the open source projects. And what I must say that most of in the data space itself, most of the successful projects are the open source. For example, if most of databases or data stores, the products on the visualization side. So for example, on the data pipeline side. So already they are very hugely adopting things, whether it's starting from your database, which is like Postgres, or some other data store like Presto, or on the data pipeline, which is more like you might be using Airflow or something. Then on the visualization side, you might be using Superset, or you might be using Metabase. So most of those things are open source. So I think these enterprises are already aware that that they can really save money using the open source product. So they just and because of that, I mean, because they are saving the money, so then they are also kind of willing to contribute, and they can provide some of their engineers or the data team, which can help out in contributing for these projects, and can chart out the things.
Thank you so much, Manas, for that, because that was very insightful. And this is one of those things as open source people in the open source community, as in these are like very few projects that have actually come up and like actually have become very huge.
Yeah.
This is one of the things where you always keep your core open source and you become a community.
Yeah.
And still hang around just like that.
Yeah. I think even in recent years, I have seen there is a shift in the mentality of everyone. Like starting from the college days, like the young generation is kind of quite keen on the open source side, and there is organizations are adopting the open source. So I think there is a massive shift on the thinking thought process and adoption of the open source, and I think this is going to just keep increasing.
Yes, absolutely. We have a very huge crowd of college students and so on who have been contributing, and a huge chunk of our technical writers too. Thank you so much for that, Manas. I think we're about to wrap up that. So there's an announcement that we have to make. So Hacktoberfest submissions have been going on, and then week 2 submissions, we were like overwhelmed with the response we got. And also the week 2 submissions, we'll be reviewing it. It's going on, and then the results will come to the end of week 3. And as by that, we've started our week 3 submissions for the same. You guys could start research, start writing, start submitting. We'll be up for reviewing, and then to the end, like the last date will be 28th. And for any more, you guys can join Discord. And I have dropped in a link in the chat box where you can access the ChaosGenius page on Aviyel. And I think that is it. I think it's time to sign off.
Yeah. So I think in the last, I want to say a big thanks to the Aviyel team. So I think they are working. They have worked really hard for this Hacktoberfest event, and in general, I think they are also working very hard for in the open source community to get more. Basically, what they are trying to solve is the discovery platform. So a big shout out to you guys as well.
Thanks, Manas. That meant the world to us. I think it's time to sign off.
Sure. Okay.
Good night, folks.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Bye.